Hey everybody, thanks once again for joining me. I hope I just didn't blow your ears out. So this is another request by Jennifer Harrison. Again, she's done it all through email, and hopefully she'll be able to get it squared away where she can get back on Buy Me a Coffee. It just makes it easier for my life too. So this is Hidden Gems of Hobart, uncovering Tasmania's historic capital. So you all know I do a podcast with Aussie bush cop who's now living, according to Wade, the producer, I guess you could call it. That's part of the King Island is part of Tasmania, you know. So she said, this is a long one, but Tasmania is a very special place and its history is worth hearing and exploring. Thanks, Mike. All right, guys, that's all I needed to hear. Got a little bit out of the place there. But so without further delay, let's just get into the intro and right into the video. She said it's a long one. Let me look here. Yeah, it's gonna be long. So I don't know if it'll be all at one or I'll chop this up, but we'll just play it by ear. So here we go.
Welcome back. Today, I continue my exploration of the beautiful state of Tasmania. In this episode, I visit Hobart and surrounds. Hobart is Australia's second oldest city, and that means there's so much history in this area. I delve into it all, from old cottages and pubs to Australia's oldest bridge and renowned convict settlement, all while battling winds so strong they could have blown the freckles off the Tasmanian devil. So sit back, relax with a warm cuppa, and together we'll explore Hobart. Welcome to Hobart, Australia's second oldest city. Hobart was established in 1804 as a penal colony.
Man, that had a suck.
And you can get a really good sense of old Hobart at Salamanca Place. Every Saturday they have a market here, rain, hail or shine. Today's not Saturday, so I can't show you that. There's no market today, but there is a vintage car rally going on. Hobart has so much history. I'm based in Melbourne, that has plenty too. But what I love about Hobart, the history, is just that little bit older. And you get a great sense of that at Salamanca Place, right on Hobart's waterfront. This is the wharf in Hobart. Every year in January, one of the longest and most dangerous sailing events happens in the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. This is where they end up with much celebration.
A meal cooked from a hat, you know.
Behind me is a replica of Mawson's hut in Antarctica. In the early 1900s, Mawson led an expedition to Antarctica and built huts there. They left from this very spot. And yeah, it's still really windy in Tassie. These are Kelly's steps. I don't know much about them other than it's a shortcut from Salamanca Place to Battery Point, and I'm guessing they're pretty old. Battery Point is a lovely area filled with old manor houses and cottages that date back to around the 1830s and 1840s. It's It's lovely to just wander around and soak up the history. It's a little bit like an old English village by the sea. It's beautiful with the old Georgian buildings, old pubs, and plenty of cafes.
One of the most popular cafes in the area is Jackman and McRoss. Here you'll find artisan bread and delicious cakes and pastries.
Of course, exploring works better on coffee, so I've come to Jackman and McRoss for a nice latte. Really pretty Arthur Circus, which is a little park just surrounded by old cottages, beautiful old cottages.
I love this sort of thing, and I was quickly starting to fall in love with Hobart and its charms.
There are plenty of old buildings in Hobart, but none is as old as this one. Ingle Hall, it's believed was built in 1812. It's the oldest remaining building in Hobart.
Found on Macquarie Street, it predates any existing government records, but it's estimated to have been built in 1812.
The oldest pub in Hobart is right behind me, the Hope and Anchor Tavern. Originally, this pub opened in 1807. They claim to be Australia's oldest licensed pub. I think I've come across a few of those.
It's likely this pub started life as a slab hut, with the existing building coming in the 1820s. It's clearly been refurbished a number of times over the years, but still retains some nautical memorabilia. Hobart is Australia's most southerly city, so the weather can be tempestuous, but it's really pretty.
There are plenty of tourist buses that'll show you all the sights, but I'm finding that Hobart's so small, I'm just wandering around. It's really not far from Salamanca Place to Battery Point to the middle of town. St David's Park is a pretty little park in the Battery Point area. What a lot of people don't know is this was the site of Hobart's first cemetery. Apparently they dug up most of the graves, but there are still some people's remains underneath where we're walking. Sorry. And right next to the park is the Supreme Court of Tasmania, and on the walls around the Supreme Court they have some of the original headstones from the cemetery. A lot of these headstones are dated 1840s, 1850s, even some as early as the 1830s.
And even earlier, some going back to the very beginnings of Hobart.
And some of the headstones here are of people who were first fleeters, some of the first Europeans to be transported to Hobart. And an awful lot of them were just young children. Even Lieutenant Governor Sorrell's infant child, who was only 4 weeks old, was buried in this cemetery. It's sobering to know how difficult life was for the people that came out here from Europe into this strange land and try and make a life here. But it's fascinating to look at their headstones because they slowly tell a story of Australian history. These old lion-head statues that guard the entrance to the park at Salamanca Place and Davie Street come from 1884. Originally, they were at the front of the Bank of Van Diemen's Land.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool, man. If I ever make it to Australia, this is what I want to do, man. I want to look at these places that this guy, he may have said his name and I didn't catch it, but you know, he's showing some of these buildings built in 1806. You know, holy cow, man. I mean, we have some here in the America too, but they looked in really good shape. I'm sure some of them were rebuilt and some of them have been remodeled. Obviously, I mean, you know, we got modern electricity now, so some things had to be changed. But look at that old. To us, that would be what our courthouse looks like. So I don't know, you know, with this clock tower. Yeah, let me move back over there to where y'all can see what I'm looking at. See that big clock tower there. So, you know, the headstones, man. You know, you losing your 4-week-old or a month old, a month and 4 days. I think is what it said. 4 weeks and 4 days. I just can't imagine, man. I just can't imagine. I always say, God knows that I wasn't strong enough to take losing a child or whatever. You know, it's some trials or tribulations that other people have had to go through, and turned out to be they were so strong to handle it. I think God knew I wasn't strong enough to handle something like that. So I was never. Man, I don't even want to talk about it. I might jinx myself. But anyway, I would like to go see Tasmania as well as Melbourne and Perth and Sydney and maybe someday, you know. But I just did on this channel Curacao, so now we're doing Tasmania. And if y'all got some of your hometowns you want me to react to, send them our way, and we'll get them done. So let's just go back to it and see what else we got going on here.
All good citizens of Hobart and folk from far and wide, welcome to the Hobart Town Hall Open Day.
If you ever wondered what it was like in Hobart Town Hall in the council chambers, they're actually having an open day today, so I thought I'd quickly duck in.
And this is where council meetings are held, with the mayor's chair and tools of the trade. Not far from the city centre is another Hobart icon.
Cascade Brewery is Australia's oldest continuously used brewery. This was established in 1824. And it shows how much Australians love their beer because it's still going.
You can take tours of the factory, play lawn games, or grab a bite in the restaurant.
You can get meals and chill in the gardens or in the restaurant, or if you're like me, just get a cheeky beer and overlook the old brewery. Cheers. It's a lie. I'm driving. Just up the road from the brewery is Cascade's Female Factory from 1828. This is basically a place where female convicts were housed and worked. There's a lot known about the male convicts, but there were thousands of female convicts too, often transported for stealing simple things like a loaf of bread to try and feed their family. It is a UNESCO site. But there's the Matron's Cottage, which still exists right here. But the rest of it is just really a couple of outer walls with audio stories as you walk around. Structurally, there's not a lot left, and it's $25 entry. So being a cheapskate, I just thought, no, because a lot of what's on offer in there, I can't really record anyway and show you. So if you want to see it, come here for yourself. Is it just me? I know the price of everything's gone up, but $25 to look at some walls and hear some audio stories seems a bit rich to me. Like, museums used to be free and maybe $10 or $12 or $15. For $25, it buys me a good meal. One thing left to do in Hobart, and that's get to the top of Mount Wellington, huge mountain that overlooks the entire city. It's already noticeably cooler as I'm heading up, and my ears just popped. I'm about 2/3 of the way up, and already there's some pretty sensational views.
I knew it was going to be pretty windy up the top, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. Down in Hobart, it's about 24 degrees today. Up here, on the top of Mount Wellington, 1,200 and something meters high, it's about 10 or less, and that wind is fierce. What a rocky, barren, windy, cold landscape it is. It's hard to stand up. Despite an 80-kilometre-an-hour gale, I was determined to stand on the top. And not be blown all the way back to Hobart. There are a couple of lookouts up here. One of them actually offers shelter, so I'm going to go there now. It was warm, wind-free, and had great views.
off the mountain.
Incredible landscape. I don't know if you can hear me over this wind, but apologies for any shaky camera work out there, but man, that wind, it was almost blowing the camera out of my hand. Alright, it's freezing, I can barely feel the fingers. I need to get back down to sea level. Oh my god, that was an experience. I feel alive.
About 30 minutes drive out of Hobart is the beautiful heritage village of Richmond.
Richmond is best known for this, Australia's oldest bridge that's still in use. This bridge was built by convicts in 1823, and it's a part of a lot of things that are the oldest here in Richmond. There's Australia's oldest Catholic church, St John's, built in 1836.
And what a beautiful place of worship it is.
Or St Luke's, Australia's oldest Anglican church, built in 1834.
I don't know what camera he's using, but holy cow, what a beautiful, beautiful part of Tasmania that, I mean, his camera is just incredible. And he's on top of that mountain. Look, it's probably the tallest mountain in Tasmania because of the radio towers. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe it's the tallest, closest mountain to Hobart. But it's just beautiful, man. And, you know, the old Catholic Church and the Anglican, you know, more Protestant leaning denomination, I guess. But all these old buildings, you know, I still can't, you know, ironically, some world wars have, you know, largely destroyed big, beautiful buildings in Europe, but Australia being so far away from, you know, from conflict like that, their buildings are, you know, largely intact. You know, even including the bridge that the convicts built. I would just, it was brief how he flashed over it, but I looked at the craftsmanship on that, and you know, we're talking 200 years ago. You know, unbelievable, beautiful, beautiful city in Tasmania.
And Richmond Jail, built in 1825, is Australia's oldest existing jail. This was built even before Port Arthur. This is the women's room. You're probably going to hear a lot of voices in the background. Usually in these sort of museums, as soon as you walk into a room, it triggers the audio information, so I have no control over that. And if you were a really naughty girl, you'd be in women's solitary confinement. Oh, they were brutal days. The reason there's a jail here, Richmond grew up as a government centre in 1820 on the road between Hobart and Port Arthur, and all of the buildings and all of the roads were built by convict chain gangs, so they had to house people pretty quickly. Originally it just had a shingled roof, but a couple of prisoners escaped through that, so they had to put some ironbark slats to create a ceiling. Solitary. They could be locked up in these for a month. They got a daily ration of bread, water, and a solitary blanket against the Tasmanian cold. And it's totally dark in here. There's no windows, there's nothing. It is just simply a little box holding humans. It's so sad. And some of the sentences it says here, a guy called John Davis had 7 days solitary on suspicion of stealing a shirt. Another was here for being drunk in church, or others for disorderly conduct or absconding from their master. This is the old Richmond courthouse, built in 1825. So if you were up to no good, you were tried here, and if things went wrong, you'd end up in the jail behind here. Don't know who the old guys are, but gee, they had impressive moustaches.
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
Popped into the bakery, because I love country town bakeries. Got myself a curried scallop pie. Scallops, you know, I'm in Tassie, got to try the local stuff. That's interesting and quite delicious. Curry sauce is very, very mild. Just a hint of curry. And scallops taste like scallops, but they're Tassie scallops. Richmond was founded in 1820 as a centre for government on the route between Hobart and Port Arthur. It's a beautiful heritage village. There are something like 50 heritage listed Georgian era buildings in this village.
Next, I travelled about an hour out of Hobart to Australia's best-known convict settlement, Port Arthur.
The Port Arthur penal colony was settled in 1830 and quickly became one of the largest penal settlements in Tasmania. Convicts sent to Port Arthur were about as far away from civilization as you could possibly get. There was a great sense of isolation and great hardship. The convicts here in this isolated place had to be self-sufficient, so the penal settlement pretty much became a village where they provided their own food and whatever they needed, and their village was still a prison. Port Arthur is a really beautiful place, but it's a place of great tragedy, not only for the convicts back in the 1830s, but also the worst mass shooting in Australia's history happened right here. In 1996, a lone gunman came here and opened fire and took 35 lives. It prompted a massive change and tightening of Australia's gun laws, and since then there's not been a single another mass shooting in Australia.
There's a memorial here to those innocent victims of that mass shooting.
By the 1850s, they ceased transporting convicts from England to places like this, and by the 1860s, the last of the convicts left Port Arthur. But that doesn't mean it was left in rack and ruin, because locals came and bought up farming sites, and it was still a very vibrant little village by the sea for many years. These days it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that tells the story of Australia's convict past. Well, I've really enjoyed exploring Hobart and surrounds. There's so much history in this area. I could spend a whole month just digging around and finding more and more, but I can't. I need to move on. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. St David's Park is a pretty little park in the Battery Point area. What a lot of people don't know is this far out, Terence. I get distracted because I see people coming. They claim to be Australia's oldest licensed, and there's someone walking behind. Thanks. In 1996, a lone gunman. Far out, Terence. First vlog for the morning, you can tell. Of course, exploring works better on coffee, so I've come to Jackman. I'm at Ross for a nice latte. And people are looking at me because I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Thank you, Jennifer, for the request. And it's like Curacao. I learned something now about Tasmania, or at least Hobart in Tasmania, and things I never would have learned had I not started this channel. And you guys had not taken me under your wing and made me feel at home. So you never know what is holds in store for me and my wife, whether we maybe one day we'll come to Australia and get on a smaller plane and go over to Tasmania. And I mean, if we're gonna go that stinking far from the United States, I want to see everything. So but don't hold y'all's breath, not just yet. Like I said, we don't know what the good Lord has in store. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thanks, everybody. If y'all made it to the end here, that's really, really bitching, and I appreciate it. So, till I see y'all again, I'll catch you down the road. Bye, y'all.